What's up, guys? I'm here, still around. Today, this is Superhero Chat, and today I want to talk about Batman versus Superman. Specifically, Batman Superman Annual 1, an excellent comic. So, before we jump into the comic itself, just a little talk about who would win in a Batman v Superman. Obviously, there's going to be major spoilers about this issue, so when I get to that part, just feel free to skip. It's well worth the read. It's such a great issue. So the debate has obviously been on for a long time about how to kill, about who would win, Batman or Superman. And I remember there was one time somebody asked me to defend why Superman would win, and had somebody else defend why Batman would win. He was at a youth camp or something. And I was like, listen, Superman has like 3 or 4 weaknesses. And I was like, obviously kryptonite, everybody knows about that. Magic, everybody knows about that. Pretty sure vampires, if I remember right. It's been a while since I looked it up, but I think vampires, but I think in the DC realm it has something to do with magic anyways. And red sunlight, or the red sun. So 3 or 4, there might be others that are less well known, but those are the basic ones. I was like, okay, so that's easy. You got 3 or 4 weaknesses, and but Batman has one severe weakness, and that's that he's mortal. So a super punch from space would kill Batman instantly, and so there's nothing he can really do about that. So obviously, for Batman's side, obviously he can easily, or well, not easily, but he can get a hold of kryptonite. He can mimic red sun rays. He can team up with people like he has in the past to beat Superman. I think the odds are very much in Superman's favor. For obvious reasons. People have used kryptonite and other means against Superman, and he still made it through. And part of the aspect of the character is that he always wins. Obviously that's part of Batman's character too, and it kind of gets into the dilemma of the philosophical idea of can an unstoppable force, what happens when it comes across an immovable object, which one gives. And so that's basically Batman vs Superman. You have the unstoppable force and you have the immovable object. Yeah, so that's kind of the dilemma. It's not one that, because of the nature of the characters, that we'd ever find out. And that's something that is mentioned in this issue, and I don't necessarily agree with it. But I think it goes into like some of the nature of humanity and goodness and bad and evil, good and evil in our natures that determines it. So we'll get into the issue. So I found it. I was watching some YouTube channel. I think it might have been Nerdette Newsstand. I think that's who was talking about it. Somebody else might have been as well. But anyway, so I was like, that sounds like a great comic. Let me pause the video and go read that issue, because it looks hilarious, and in fact it is. So before I jump into it, pause the video, come back, and then go read it if you haven't. It's so good. It's so good. One of the struggles these days is finding comics that are worth reading, worth paying lots of money over and over again to buy. And maybe some people disagree with me on that, but I find that I don't buy a lot of comics. So when I saw that this was going to be really good, I picked it up, and it is really good. So starts off, you get 2 little kids fighting with action figures of Superman and Batman, and they start arguing about who would win, Batman or Superman. And Batmite and Mr. McPillick break it up, and they start talking about how that's not proper fifth dimension etiquette. And so these kids need to learn how to share. And I love it because Mr. McPillick's like, obviously Superman would trounce Batman. And then Batman's like, no, he wouldn't. Batman would so beat Superman. And he's like, Batman is the world's greatest detective, a trained fighter, and he's rich. Batman has the toys, all of them. Superman comes with what? A lame pair of Clark Kent glasses. Too good. Too good. So you get these two start fighting, and it's really funny. So you got the big splash page of them fighting each other. This is written by Joshua Williamson, and man, he just knows his characters really well. I don't agree with everything he does with characters, but like the ones he messes around with, generally, I think he knows the characters really well. Usually it's the outside ideas that he brings in that I don't care for. Like when they did all the solid force or whatever, the other forces, I was like, that's too much. Speed force, I can handle. All these other, like still force, like, no thanks, no. Don't need that in my comic books. But he knows characters really well. Pretty sure that's the same Williamson. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comics if I'm wrong. But I know that Joshua Williamson has done pretty well. This is an excellent book for that. So it ends up, we get a lot of clips into, obviously with Batmite and Mr. McPillick. Suddenly they effect change in the real world. And so Batman and and it's disguised in the way of each one of them telling a tale about that leads to them fighting. So Batmite goes first, and he tells this extravagant tale about how Superman himself, just by existing, is causing the demise of everything, and so Batman has to stop him. And so I'm not going to spoil how he does it, but it is excellent. It is excellent. Just the way that he takes Batman out. So Mr. McPillick doesn't like that. And this one I will spoil, so obviously if you've made it this far, you haven't read it, go read the book. So Mr. McPillick tells his story, and it's like 2 panels, and it's a super punch from space. Which is what I'm saying. Batman's like, no, you gotta tell a story. That's not interesting enough. I'm like, I know, right? So Mr. McPillick starts telling this long, crazy story about how, well, I'm trying to remember exactly, even though I'm looking right in the book. It's been a few days since I read it. Well, they start telling this story, and Batman and Superman are fighting, and each one of the other ones, the one that's not trying to kill the other, the opposite one knows that something weird is off and is trying to stop. And so eventually, by the third tale, Superman and Batman figure out what's going on. And that's when they get turned into action figures. And because Batmite and Mr. McPillick don't like that they're arguing with them. And so this is where the discussion really comes in. Superman says, one of them says that they would never fight. And the reason is because they'd always find another way. And I agree with that. In that the two of them would never fight because they are ultimately good characters. Obviously there are some iterations of Batman that are darker. But, so like if you had the Batman vs. Superman movie, it sort of made sense why they would fight. Because Batman's killing people, and Superman would stop that. But if you have the comic book Batman where he doesn't actually kill people, then or maybe he doesn't kill people in that Batman vs Superman movie, but it definitely looks like he's killing people. He's definitely getting really, really close. I just want to make sure I'm accurate there. But yeah, so obviously if you have one of them who goes crazy, they have to stop them. Obviously the one that's good is going to win. So some people would say like the good nature of them fundamentally keeps them and prevents them from killing each other. And I'm not sure. Well, if they're both good, I think that's absolutely right. So they're both going to not find another way, because neither of them wants fundamentally to fight each other, to kill each other, to end each other. And Batman prepares for the worst for Superman, because obviously Superman is ultimate good. The one thing in the Batman vs Superman movie that didn't really make sense to me is why Batman fought Superman. Like, I could see Superman seeing Batman as a problem in those circumstances, but Batman should know, you don't need to fight this guy. Although I guess in one argument you'd say like he's just fighting for his life. But I'm not sure that they acted as themselves in that movie, and is that movie really a great example to be using? Anyways, but if one of them goes crazy, suddenly that restraint that they normally would have is no longer there, and so they'd probably be a lot more ruthless. And I think if that were the case, there would be very little time for the good guy to prepare, which is Batman's weakness. If he doesn't have time to prepare, which is why he always prepares while Superman's good. So, and he knows that he wouldn't have time, and so that's why he has those preparations ready at any time. So Superman would really have to just do it and give Batman zero time. A super punch from space would work. He could grab Batman and toss him into the upper atmosphere, fly catch him and throw him into the sun. I don't know. That's a good idea. You'd have to do it really quick. That way Batman has no time to prepare, and vice versa. Batman would probably just have to have some kind of kryptonite on him and get behind Superman and kill him. And it'd have to be an instant death, like something that he couldn't know about, and he'd have to do it so quick that Superman isn't ready. So there is a possibility for each one of them to kill each other. Either one could win if handled correctly. I think the odds are in Superman's favor, but that doesn't mean that Batman can't kill Superman or can't beat Superman. It's definitely possible, especially if he starts using other people's help, which I don't know why Batman wouldn't use other people's help. Obviously, most people for this analogy want to use a one-on-one, but it's Batman. He's going to use whatever tool he can use, and other people are tools to him to some extent. So why not use other people? I think that it's something that he would use. In fact, one argument that I've heard is that he uses the Bat family to stop himself, and the Justice League to stop himself, and the Justice League is also kind of partially to stop Superman. But yeah, so I think that there is a good argument to say that this is a meaningless discussion, that they would never fight each other if they're both good. That's true. But if they weren't good, if one of them wasn't good, it'd be an interesting fight to watch. Again, I think Superman would win, but there's definitely chances for Batman to win if he handles it correctly. So it's not a open shut door, but it's very lopsided to one side, in my opinion. But I don't mind Superman. I don't mind Batman winning. So, but excellent story, really fun. Highly recommend it. So go get this. Really great. we gotta support good comic books as they come out. So appreciate you watching. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. Give us a like if you enjoyed that. Leave us a comment. So I don't know about what's going to happen. I'm leaving this to the end because only the dedicated few will watch, if anybody. I don't know what we're going to do with this channel, if we're going to keep going. Lewis is all for it. I needed a break with all the stuff going on in the country, with my busy schedule getting even busier. My creativity was a little off for a little bit, so I didn't know what videos to make about. And then I think I talked about how the everything is going away. Like, so many of the cool stuff, like Marvel doesn't put anything out that's interesting. Comic-wise, DC's canceled half of their books. Star Wars is kind of dying, other than The Mandalorian, which is great. The Avengers is kind of over. Sure, there's a few movies coming out, but none of them are really that exciting. And then DC, EU is all over the place. Who knows what's going to happen with that? I still want a Shazam too, but and I'm excited about the new Wonder Woman movie, but it's been postponed. Like, this is a bad year for for nerds all over. So I've actually been collecting and reading a lot of other books. I'll probably start talking about those. Old books. That's where it's at right now, for me and Lewis at least. And some newer books which are interesting. We're not sure what we're going to do. So I'm thinking about doing my annual, or attempt to do what I tried to do with my annual Pokemon Spookymon hunting live. Last time I could not, for the life of me, getting at work, but I don't have necessarily any problems this year. Although YouTube, for whatever reason, decided this year, while I was gone, to make it so that YouTubers with less than 1,000 subs can't stream on their mobile for whatever reason. So working on ways around that for next weekend. So we'll see if that happens. It's on a Saturday, so that's helpful. Saturdays are my free day. But yeah, so I don't know. Me and Lewis enjoy doing this. We've been watching a lot of Doctor Who lately, and I want him to be able to experience that. And there were some days where it was like, early on, do we watch Doctor Who? Do we make a video? And since I had nothing to talk about, I didn't have any ideas for videos. I was like, well, let's just watch Doctor Who then. And so there we go. I just didn't have any ideas, but since we've had some good comic books coming out, some other things happening, or some other comic books that I've been reading that have been coming out, who knows, maybe I'll do another video here soon. We'll see. I know Lewis really wants to, and this is really long. If you've made it this far, you're awesome. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you where we've been. We're still here. We still hang out all the time. I just haven't had anything to talk about. Everything's kind of dying, and it's really sad. And I don't want to be like a really complaining YouTuber. I don't want to be one of those guys who just sits there and complains about, except Star Wars. I will always complain about all the bad stuff in Star Wars from Disney. But everything else I try to be positive about. As much as possible. I didn't want to make every video a complaining session. So, anywho, let me know what you think. If you got any ideas for topics for us, that's easy. That helps us. Those were always our easiest videos. If you guys tell us what you want to hear, but I think we'll probably try to do some more videos here coming up now that things are settling down again. And this video is super long, so again, I appreciate you watching this far if you did, because half this video now is me talking about nothing. Appreciate it. We'll catch you later. Peace.